What do you think when you hear about the backrooms? Is it the uneasiness, the liminal space, the idea that you can no-clip out of existence? How would it make one feel? Alone? Separated? Isolated? Well, in this video, I took 300 of my best Minecraft players, placed them into the first 5 levels of the backrooms, and let them roam free. But first, here's what you need to know. The players themselves don't actually know that they're gonna be in the backrooms. Instead, they think that they're playing in just another peaceful tropical island experiment, which they will be, for the first 30 minutes. From there, players will be thrown into level 0 of the backrooms where they'll soon find out that they are not alone. As usual, the players will only have one life, so if they die, they are dead for good. Will our players be able to make it out, or will they be stuck forever? I present the Backrooms experiment. Day 1, the players were set free to explore the island. Here on this tropical paradise, there were increased levels of food and other resources. Players on the island would also be given a buff of regeneration 10, making it virtually impossible to die.
They're all just being killed by each other or drowning.
As usual for the first day, most players all just scattered to punch trees and mine for iron and diamonds. Some players, not knowing that they were all about to no-clip into the backrooms, even started building shelters, many of which with questionable design. Anyways, players were enjoying their stress-free time living on the island until suddenly strange things started happening. The sky seemed to grow darker, players were flickering in and out of existence, and the regeneration was growing weaker, until finally, welcome to the backrooms. Here in level 0 of the backrooms, there were no resources whatsoever, and on top of that, they were not alone. Anyways, players were slowly being teleported here randomly from the island, and surprisingly, they didn't slaughter each other on sight. While some players were significantly better off in terms of armor and resources, most knew better than to kill in such an unfamiliar environment. Instead, many of the players just stayed around their spawn to greet the newly teleported players to the backrooms, while some others left to explore their new surroundings to see if there were any resources whatsoever. And spoilers, there weren't. In place of resources, some of these unfortunate explorers would run into something rather different.
Okay, where the hell is it? Oh, okay.
After a while, due to some outside sources, players and their friends started to figure out that they were spawning in at 4 specific locations of varying 1000s. Armed with this knowledge and the fact that they would either starve to death or be killed by strange creatures, they set off to try and convene together. Using their coordinates, most players were able to travel towards the direction of their companions, and just as the players crossed 0-0, they discovered something. The bright white and purple stood out in the monotonous sea of yellow wallpaper and carpet. Unsure of what this new structure did, more and more players started to gather around it as the word spread. Turns out it was a portal. More so, a portal to level 1. Surprisingly, level 1 was far more habitable than level 0. Players had entered level 1 with extreme caution, but after a bit of exploring, they began to relax. On this level, it turns out that the surrounding blocks were actually breakable, along with containing supply crates that were scattered all over the map. The first few players eventually figured out that level 1 was the closest thing that they would get to an ideal living space. Immediately, they started urging any and all players still stuck in level 0 to reach level 1.
Make it. I'm almost to end.
No, make it.
The good news didn't end there though. As mentioned before, there would be supply crates that players could find all over the stage, containing food, ores, and even valuable drinks that would come to be extremely useful. Going back to the progress that the players have made, it dawned on them that they weren't completely out of the woods yet. Food was still a quickly growing issue amongst them as most players were still mining when they got teleported. To solve this, they started planting potatoes and creating community farms using resources from the island. It seemed that the players were able to quickly mitigate this issue. However, an even larger issue slowly crept up to the forefront. They did not have enough dirt. You see, up until now, the players have been mostly neutral with each other, all sticking together in hopes to mitigate their chances of death. Now that they were given a glimpse of survival, their suppressed biases began to show. Players began stealing dirt from each other in order to bring back to their own friends.
Someone took all the dirt and stole it.
She stole all the dirt and the farm and just walked away with the crop.
Some even taking part in dirt espionage.
Dude, they are, because they all stole dirt!
There's a whole operation, man.
This cycle of stealing quickly escalated into gang violence and various cruel and unusual punishments. Multiple groups were formed as a direct cause, and of these groups, the three most prominent were the Moles, Gang, and COK. The Moles, a group of idealists that hoped to provide a safe space for any and all players within the Backrooms. While they were the most welcoming of the three groups, it also proved to be a weakness. Gang was a group formed between a small circle of friends that slowly grew as they recruited more and more people. Being a mostly private and neutral group, they would only attack others when provoked, mostly keeping to themselves as they tried to escape the Backrooms. Finally, there was COK, or as most others called them, Kill on Sight. While arguably the smallest of the three groups, KOS was a faction of bloodthirsty players that would kill anyone that wasn't in their group. Their only food source came from pillaging other players, and their only goal was to escape the Backrooms, and nothing was going to stop them.
Dude, they're coming! Move out, they're coming! I started telling you. Come on.
Stand still.
It was day 3 now, and more creatures were beginning to show up. Though alarming, most players had become used to their harsh life within the Backrooms, many coming up with new strategies to counter these monsters, with some even using boats.
Just walk on the floor.
Does it just disappear?
It stays there for a bit and then disappears.
As the players continued to explore, they were able to gather large amounts of almond water found within the supply crates.
So,
Jesus Christ!
Oh my god.
just if you need any food.
Oh my.
Using this abundance of almond water, players were able to focus on becoming stronger, now with a large amount of the remaining players sporting full diamond armor. Anyways, at this point, most groups had been solidified and the hunt for the next portal had begun, though no one was quite sure exactly where it was, leading to a giant goose hunt with players all headed away from 0-0. However, not long after, the first players were able to find the portal. While it was discovered relatively quickly, the information about the discovery was kept secret from the others. Because of this, there was surprisingly no player conflict at the portal, with most groups all reaching the portal at different times.
A lot of people.
Down here, right here.
Oh,
Who's going through first?
Here we go.
Upon entering the portal, here is what they learned. In levels 2 and 3, players would instantly find themselves suffering from heat exhaustion. To continue, half of the level was actually submerged beneath water, only making things much harder for the players. These were the boiler rooms, and this level was undeniably hell for the backroom explorers. Because of the heat exhaustion, anyone on this level would permanently have hunger and slowness effects. The halls were also full of dead ends, forcing players to vent around, causing their chat to be filled with copious amounts of Among Us references. The one saving grace for the players though was a seemingly not so useful drink found in the supply crates: rehydrated water. Not only did the water breathing provided allow players to explore the lowest part of the level, it seemed that drinking the potion also temporarily removed the hunger and slowness effects. Even so, finding the next level was not going to be an easy feat. While there were multiple elevators scattered across this level, it would still be hours before anyone was able to find one. Though there were no monsters that spawned on this level, players would come across giant boilers that contained valuable treasures inside them, causing greedy explorers to be lured in and boiled alive with a single misstep.
What if... No, we can't mine them.
I guess.
Oh. Oh.
Are you in
Is it a trap?
It is a trap.
In the meantime, trouble was brewing back on level 1. Turns out, KOS had been rampaging across the level because no one was willing to share the location of the portal with them. At first, none of the prominent groups did anything about it, as it really didn't affect gang, and the moles had to keep track of way too many residents. This all changed though when KOS had finally killed a member of gang. The second the message popped up in chat, people were furious. To avenge their fallen teammate, gang struck a deal with the moles to create a subdivision of players called the Peacekeepers, a battalion of warriors specifically meant to deal with KOS. By tracking the giant path of destruction left by the barbaric group, it was concluded that KOS was already on the way to level 4, gaining the information by torturing and slaughtering any explorers they came across. It was then decided that the Peacekeepers would intercept KOS at the portal to level 4, marking the start of a bitter rivalry. At the start of the day, all players were on the move. The Peacekeepers' goals were to prevent KOS from escaping the backrooms. KOS, on the other hand, was rumored to already have entered the next level, while the Peacekeepers were still having their explorers guide them to the portal. To describe level 4, it was an empty office building where no entities would spawn, containing incredible amounts of loot hidden everywhere. While this level was the safest yet with sprawling flat grounds as far as the eye could see, it also just so happened to serve as the perfect battleground for players.
There's like 20 people in full diamond here right now.
KOS eventually got word that the Peacekeepers were coming. They sent out warnings to any approaching challengers, warnings which were promptly ignored. The Peacekeepers had finally reached the portal and KOS could sense it. Waiting just below the Peacekeepers was a group of murderers that knew of no fear and felt no remorse. As members of the moles and gang waited diligently for the battle to commence, the Peacekeepers charged. Oh yeah, they were at the wrong portal. It was a complete oversight. The players thought that there was only one portal, leading to their current state of confusion, and with the marginal amount of players currently in level 4, by the nature of the backrooms, it was now extremely difficult to track down KOS, as most players had settled down in level 1, leading to less and less players inhabiting the further levels. Taking advantage of this, KOS ran and immediately started their hunt for the final portal, the one that would take them to level 5. The Peacekeepers, on the other hand, decided to regroup with the rest of their respective teams to discuss further actions. Meanwhile, with all this drama going on,
Bro, he just joined. Homie has nothing. Hey, yo, this isn't Hawaii. WOTROCK.
Pieces of sand.
Yep. I told you, dude. He just joined.
Okay, no, I can't, man. I gotta give him something.
surprisingly, not much else happened for the day as the backroom residents continued their lives, now freed from the fear of KOS. A feeling of safety that unfortunately would not last much longer. Because level 4 was a safe level, players had no trouble finding the portal to the next level. Fortunately for KOS, they seemed to always be one step ahead of everyone else, being the first group to make it to level 5. It was here where they discovered that level 5, much like level 0, was filled with monsters. Instead of yellow wallpaper though, it was a rundown hotel filled with endless hallways. This time it was like the players were given a mission. Located within the hotel rooms were strange books that needed to be collected. By themselves, KOS ravaged through the rooms, but it seemed like the backrooms required more people. So, KOS waited, and for the first time, stopped trying to kill others. After a while, members of the moles, gang, and peacekeepers finally started trickling into the final levels, armed and ready for a fight. To their surprise, KOS didn't ambush them, and was in fact nowhere to be found. Instead, they were all also tasked with the collecting of the mysterious books. A long time passed and players were beginning to grow confused. Most groups had all their members migrate all the way from level 1 to level 5 just to collect books. As almost every remaining player reached level 5, something happened. The threshold had been met, and a countdown began. At first, it was 5 minutes, then it was 1 minute, then 5 seconds, 1 second. All players were teleported. Simple instructions: run.